Back when I was 20 years old, I would say my experience with women overall was pretty miserable, if not inexistent. I was still a virgin, I had only kissed 2 girls, and both of them it was at night when they were drunk and they did not even remember me the next day. That kind of hit my self-esteem, and I didn't really know what to say. One thing I kept hearing back then was, "You really don't understand anything to women." And it was not even being said in a mean way, it was just because indeed I was completely unaware of the basic social vibes that happen among people. And I would always say something that I thought was funny, but was not funny at all, based on the context of the conversation. The worst of all beyond that was I didn't really know how to display interest without being weird, without appearing weird. Among the initial things I tried to improve myself in that area, I used the mystery method, or learned about it and tried to apply a few of the tricks mentioned in it, also using all the Neil Strauss stuff. And my first experiment with it was pretty bad too. It was very stimulating and interesting to me, but it was not that great because I was miscalibrating. I was understanding what had to be said, but still I was mismatching, miscalibrating when to say those things. For example, the concept of the neg, where you supposedly throw some slightly mean comment, not to try to attack her, but to lower slightly the level of self-confidence she naturally has among a group of guys who all try to seduce her. And in that case, you disqualifying yourself is supposed to make her more attracted. That may be true, that may be untrue, but the whole point is, even if it was true, I was definitely using it at the wrong moment and using it too early, or using it with a girl who was already nice anyway, so no need to be mean or attacking in any way. Another problem was constantly being into my own head, analyzing way too much stuff. Since I had read about those initial methods for seduction, I was more aware of body language, which is not a bad thing, but I was trying to analyze it so much that I was many times paralyzed into my own head, trying to match, okay, when she did this, it means that, when she did this, when she said this at this moment while crossing her arms, it means that, and that is way too much overthinking and analysis as you are discussing with somebody. So overall, studying those methods initially provided some improvement. At least I had a few ideas about what to say in a conversation with a girl, but I was still way too much into my own head, and I had still zero clue about how to escalate physically, specifically on the physical side. Like, yes, she likes you, you like her, but then what? Then what are you supposed to do to lead her into a more physical contact, physical touching? I was still completely clueless about how to do that. As a comparison to where I am today, I would say I get a sense of what she needs to hear even before I open my mouth, and sometimes she's just not in the mood anyway, so better not say anything yet. Later during the party or the night, yes, but not at the moment, eventually. I noticed by now I can easily introduce a silence, a pause in the conversation, so that we can lead more naturally into physical escalation. Before that, I was always trying to talk and talk and talk and talk, and that was too much. And in order for sexual escalation to happen in the right way, I think it is easier if there is some decreasing energy, or like the energy gets lower. If it is super high-speed talking, that's unlikely that it will happen, but when the mood starts getting lower and slower, that is the perfect recipe to lead to physical escalation and sexual escalation. So I think I learned to induce a pause, or make a silent introduce a silence at the moment I look into her eyes, but at the right time, so that we can go more naturally into physical escalation, whereas before that I was completely unaware of when and how to do that. And the biggest difference is that once I see the green light, so once I see some attraction signals being overtly displayed, so all this body language stuff I was studying finally got put into use in the right way. Once I see she is definitely attracted, I don't have any insecurities anymore about should I not, if I try, maybe she's gonna be angry. Now, once I see the signals, once I see the green light is on, I have the full confidence to lead her by the hand or like approach her and kiss her or whatever it is. I have developed the confidence to do that. But the big thing is, yes, it is fun and it is fine once you have the confidence, but how do you develop it? Because many times you see those advice of just behave like this, do that. And yes, that works once you have confidence. But when you don't have it, she will most likely just reject you and try to get away from you. So the way I personally developed that sense of confidence was through my language abilities, through the way I started leading the conversation. And in the beginning, I was really tactical with this. Now it is much more intuitive and aleatory. But when I just started to develop that level of confidence, it was because I had used 3 different steps in my, I would say, personal model. I used the 3 different steps to go from initial attraction to a natural physical escalation, sexually oriented. Basically, after hundreds of conversations with a lot of female friends too, not only girlfriends or women I was trying to seduce, but also just female friends, I learned a lot about, first of all, what not to say, because I was full of things not to say, and I have become aware that the way sexual hunger works and builds up in a woman is many times different than the way it builds up in a man. Sometimes it can be related, but most of the time I would say it is different. For many women, there will be an element of emotional connection that is much more important than it is for men. Some men may still need it, but for most of them it is not required, whereas for a girl it is usually, most of the time, heavily required before she feels like she can let go sexually and spend a great night with the guy she's met. Based on that, I thought about which main themes of conversation can I use into each of those phases. Because, of course, everyone tells you just be yourself, just act normal. But when you start like I did from a phase where you had almost zero social contact during all middle school and high school, you just can't be yourself like that. Like, yourself is just an idiot, basically, like I was. Just a jerk who doesn't like anyone. That was me when I was 19, 18. So just be yourself didn't work for me as an advice at all. What I did instead, therefore, was building up a simple model in my head. Simple, not like the mystery method, which I respect, but I think it is kind of really heavy to learn. What I developed was simply a 3-phase model with specific themes of conversation to use at each of those phases. And if you want to know what they are, I have outlined all of them, like the best ones I have, in the method down below that you will find in the description. You will find in this the most important clues I understood, at least in my own path, that I have understood to make her go from initial attraction, which I can't force. So if she doesn't like me, she doesn't like me, period. But once I can find one that does like me, then I know how to escalate. And I think I can even act pretentious by saying that once I see she likes me in the initial attraction stage, I kind of already know how it is going to end up. That comes from experience, and that is definitely not the case in the beginning. But therefore, the biggest improvement those themes of conversations allowed me to develop is basically having the right calibration. Understanding that anything you want to say, you can say it, but not at the same time. There are moments, depending on how attracted she is or she's not, there are things you can say and things you better keep for yourself at first, and you can say them later. Once she's horny, once she really wants you, then many things can pass that will just appear outrageous if you say them too early in the conversation. So for you, I have developed a small method in which you can find all of them. You will find all those themes of conversation one by one and see bullet points to figure out what kind of questions can you use during that theme. How can you bring up controversial theme of conversation that will make her think more sexually, but without appearing too weird or too outrageous. And I had to burn my wings a lot of times before figuring out how to get those topics in the conversation in the right way. And at the end, you also have a hypnotic track I have developed specifically for this course that can help you to, I would say, heal any kind of insecurities you may still have if you have trouble approaching, if you're full of anxieties about what should I say. this hypnotic track is made to decrease that level of anxiety, and also something I really missed when I was trying to develop those skills, a specific protocol inside the track that helps your mind to trigger the intuition for when and how to meet women based on your situation. Because not every advice is applicable depending on if you live in a small town, a big big city. Not everything is applicable depending on if you are really good looking, not good looking. So the best is to use your own unconscious mind, I think, and figure out, based on my honest life circumstances, what can I develop, what strategies can I put in place to bring more women into my life and more of the ones I want, without trying to force on a strategy that is just not applicable based on my age, my financial situation, or stuff like that. You can find all of this down below. Be my guest if you want to join this. In any case, I will be happy to see you again in any other video or course. In the meantime, good luck on your skills and never give up.